second verse is sponsored by Attitude Creativity. Many indie music artists don't have a website that grows their audience and reflects who they are, so they get lost in the noise of streaming. Marketing and brand messaging with Attitude Creativity helps boost your brand and build a site that hits all the right notes. You want to be an artist who stands out from the crowd, and to do that, you need your music to be heard. If your website doesn't reflect who you are or make an impact, you feel like a singer who's been handed a pair of drumsticks instead of a mic. You deserve a website and brand messaging you can be proud of, and that doesn't take time away from your music. As an artist like you, I understand how overwhelming websites and marketing can be. And that's why, putting on my other creative hat, I put my decades of marketing and development experience to work for you. You'll no longer have to apologize for your website. You'll look and feel like a professional with a custom story branded website you can be proud of. And right now, you can get a head start with my free downloadable EPK blueprint and start building your electronic press kit to promote your music. Head to attitudecreativity.com/blueprint to get your copy. That's Attitude, ATTITUDE, creativity.com/blueprint. Some days, creativity flows like water. The melody finds you. The lyrics fall into place and time disappears. Other days, it's like trying to start a fire with wet matches. What if the difference isn't you, but your ecosystem? I'm Becky Boyland, and this is Second Verse, the podcast for independent artists who are rewriting their stories and finding their way back to music. Today, I'm talking about how to build a creative ecosystem, the environment that helps your art thrive, because your creativity isn't a machine to be optimized. It's a living thing to be nurtured. Last time I talked about clarifying your message, defining who you are as an artist, and why you create for your audience. So if we move from clarity to the space where you flourish, you can grow roots. Most artists are taught to chase momentum, post more, write more, release more. But sustainable creativity doesn't come from speed. It comes from structure. I mean, think about it. Even if you finished a track a week, that's 52 songs a year. That's amazing. And it is great for your growth. But if you're counting on that to make a dent in Spotify, well, that's going to be hard when there are over 100,000 songs a day that are released onto the platform. So do it for your growth and for you, not to just chase more and more. A creative ecosystem is like a greenhouse. It provides a great environment where growth can thrive. And you don't force a plant to grow. You simply create the conditions that make growth inevitable. Your music deserves the same care. And wouldn't that be amazing to have an environment that you've established that makes growth inevitable? Well, see, you are a business and an artist if you are putting out music for an audience to consume. And I like to think of the framework story brand. Now, for marketing, the customer in story brand is the hero and the company is the guide. And that's true for a lot of companies, most businesses. But when you're an artist, it's a little bit different. In one way, the audience is the hero and you are their guide. But in another way, as an artist, you are the hero too, because that's what empowers and enables your art. For artists, you're both hero and guide. Hero when you create your art. Guide when your art helps others find meaning and comfort and courage. A strong ecosystem supports both of these sides of you as an artist, giving you clarity to create and a capacity to connect with your audience. You're not just releasing songs. You're inviting people to connect. And you're not just building a career, you're cultivating a world that people want to step into. So let's dive into the creative ecosystem. Stay to the end and I'll share some really important outcomes from having a healthy creative ecosystem. I like this model because ecosystems are exchanges of energy and nutrients. Think about that for a minute. There is an exchange. And then there's a result. There's growth. Your creativity is most powerful when it is fed and feeds. And I want to focus on 4 essential components of your creative ecosystem: your space, people, systems, and sustainability. So number 1, your creative space. Your creative space isn't just a room, it's a state of readiness. So it might be your studio, your kitchen table, or even a morning ritual that just kind of signals to your entire being, it's time to make art. It can be physical, emotional, or even digital. So where does your creativity feel most at home? Well, I have a couple of different examples. For me, when I'm in my studio and I have my DAW opened up and I have a couple of sounds that I really like, and I can just either noodle with my guitar or the keyboard, then I'm ready to create and it feels exciting. But sometimes I want to just sit on a park bench and maybe have my guitar, or maybe just have my phone and have an instrument of some type, a digital thing available to me. But I'm writing either, again, on my phone, or I have a pen and paper. And the thing that is inspiring in that moment is the beauty of nature, of being in a different place and being able to listen to the birds or feel a nice warm day. What is it for you? When does your creativity really shine? That's part of your ecosystem. So I encourage you to design intentional creative zones, whether it is your studio, if you have that space, or whether it's a desk in the corner of a different room, and maybe have a secondary space or environment when you're maybe going outside like I am. Maybe you like to take a walk and it's an opportunity to go over lyrics in your head. Designate those spaces and start to make room for them, not just physically, but in your calendar. Designate that these are things that are not optional. They have to have their own designated time and space. Surround yourself with what inspires flow, not clutter. And for a lot of artists, that can be very hard because the clutter could pile up. But make clear space, because clarity of space will truly help clarity of mind. And this is not an exercise in indulgence, but creating both a workshop and a spa in a way. Because if you are a professional at woodworking, you need a physical workshop where you can craft things. And you may need to have some expensive tools, but you may have some other tools that really didn't cost much at all, and they're all indispensable. So this is a place for you to be able to do your craft. But in a way, it's also a spa. And again, not in the sense of an indulgence, but a healing space, something that will take away the worries of the day or funnel them directly into a healing moment that could become more art. You're curating the best tools and resources to help you produce the very thing that you're supposed to be making and putting out into the world, and it inspires flow. Number 2 is your creative people. No ecosystem thrives in isolation. We need people who expand us. Collaborators, mentors, encouragers, the right people that will mirror your growth instead of magnifying your doubts. It can be hard to recognize our progress when we're working solo all the time. Our creative circle helps provide perspective, so we can overcome things like, well, what we talked about a couple of episodes ago, imposter syndrome. So I encourage building 3 circles around your art. The first one is an inner circle. These are creative partners who understand your vision. These are your co-writers, your collaborators, other musicians that you're working really together toward a common goal. The next is a support circle. These are family and friends who remind you why all this hard work matters, and they cheer you on, but you're probably not collaborating with them. And then there's a growth circle. These are peers and mentors who help you to rise and to grow. You're improving your craft because of working together with them or actually walking alongside of them, and for mentors to come and walk alongside of you. In all these cases, community isn't optional. It's oxygen. It reminds you that your art is part of something bigger, and you can always become more than you imagined on your own. But note that I didn't say anything about your audience. Your audience is not a circle, though audience members can become part of one or more of your circles. But the reason they're not part of your circle is that they're not specifically part of your growth. They are an outflow of your growth. And so becoming too audience focused too early on can really hinder your growth. You need the circles before you need the audience. Number 3 is your creative systems. I know, everybody wants to make art with no rules, but systems aren't restrictive. They're actually rhythmic. In fact, structure can bring you more freedom than anything else. Have you ever walked down the toothpaste aisle and tried to decide from the literally hundreds of choices? It's actually a bit paralyzing. When we have too much choice in front of us, it's decision fatigue. It's impossible to do anything. If you're, for example, going into your DAW and you need to choose one kick drum from 3,000 samples, it's impossible. So a bit of structure, and that's just one silly example, a bit of structure really is freeing. So let's get to some actually valid and useful examples. First, daily or weekly writing appointments. These are appointments, and I call them appointments because they should be on your calendar and they should not be easily moved. Now, obviously, it could be flexed if you need to make an adjustment to your schedule, but it doesn't get removed. Other examples are a release planning calendar, social media content workflow, or file or idea organization. And this one is really important too, self-care rhythms, because your voice, energy, and mind are creative tools too. Systems are clarity. And I've talked a lot about clarity. But clarity helps you in so many ways as an artist. And because we tend to have so many different interests, it can be elusive. But systems will help with that clarity so that you can focus on transformation and not chaos. Systems help with providing a clear path, freedom in the limitation that we talked about, and consistency. Because when you're consistent, that's when growth comes more readily. When the path is clear, you spend less time questioning and more time creating. And I like to think of this in the greenhouse model that we're talking about as the nutrients. Number 4 is your creative sustainability. This is a long game. Art as a business requires rest and inspiration and, income and resources. What keeps your creativity alive even when life gets messy? Sustainability means creating from abundance, not exhaustion. It's learning to rest without guilt, to refill the well before it runs dry. So I want to encourage you to reframe rest as strategy, not guilt. How many times do we think, oh, I should have finished this other thing. Oh, I have too many items on my plate. And we just want to push sleep to the side. And that can be really tempting if you're doing this alongside any other business venture, job, having a family. So when do you put your art in the midst of all of that? And if that means you're giving up rest consistently, you're probably shortchanging every bit of your life. So reframe it as strategy, not guilt. And to do this, it can be really important to have multiple energy wells. Things like movement, fitness, being in nature, connecting with other people. And if music has been your hobby that you've now elevated to a business, you know how it is when those two things kind of overlap in a weird way. When you want to take a break from music, your first thought is, well, I'll do music. But you may need to actually find another hobby because you've taken music off the hobby table. So finding something else or returning to something else that maybe went along the wayside so that you could elevate your music. You may have forgotten that there were other things that you really love to do and you might enjoy getting back to them so that you can get recharged by them. When your ecosystem supports your whole self, you stop surviving your creativity and start thriving in it. It should be a joy. It should be refreshing, and it should fill you up with energy. Work with purpose. Rest with pride that you've accomplished something great, because your creativity isn't replaceable. It's rare. And I think that sustainability is like the sun and rain. I'm going to tell you why all this matters and the outcome of a healthy creative ecosystem in just a moment. But first, I'd like you to subscribe, review, and share Second Verse with all your artist friends, even beyond musicians. Art matters now more than ever in the world. To encourage, address the hard truths, and even hold up a mirror so we face what we need to see. So make sure other artists can find and benefit from this show. So you, the artist, are not a commodity. Music has a lot of different uses and purposes, but you and your brand have innate worth and value because you are you. And to grow into the excellence you desire and expect of yourself, you need a nourishing environment. Building a creative ecosystem means you don't have to beg, plead, and exhaust your energy trying to find an audience that won't get you when you don't understand yourself. You'll be in growth mode, ready to blossom at the right time for the right people with your best art. Your art won't be competing in a bargain bin. It'll offer transformation. And the people who value that will invest their attention, time, and support. You won't be scrambling for validation, but inviting connection from those who resonate. Your audience will feel the results of your internal work, and the presence you've built is what will draw them to you and keep them coming back for more. The people meant for your art will recognize themselves in it. You won't have to compete, just connect. Your creative ecosystem isn't built overnight. It's cultivated intentionally, patiently, and with love. And it's a living thing that's supposed to nurture you while you also support others in your circles. Too often, we're told that we'll turn into diamonds with pressure. But we don't really need to be crushed to be better artists. We need our own spiritual greenhouses where we can grow. Which part of your ecosystem needs tending right now? Your space, your people, your systems, or your sustainability? Start there. Nurture that one thing. And watch your art breathe. If you'd like to share what your creative ecosystem looks like, or what you're building toward, I'd love to hear it. You can tell me at secondversepod.com/share your story. Until then, keep creating, keep showing up, and remember, your art isn't ordinary. It's extraordinary. Your best lines might still be unwritten, so keep chasing your second verse. Stick around to hear my song, Waiting for Wisdom, written by me, Becky Boyland, and Sharon Vaughn.
Don't splash in the puddle, don't call everyone your best friend. Don't go chasing